Welcome to the 2019 Founders Day Convocation, celebrating the 185th anniversary of the founding of Wake Forest University, where we give of our praise, adore her ancient days, and sing humble lays to mothers so dear. As a courtesy to others, please turn off any audible electronic devices. As the faculty, trustees, and recognized students process in and later out of the chapel, please remain seated. Welcome to Founders Day.
Please be seated. And let us pray. O Creator of day and night, sacred source of all light and life, ever watchful guardian of our days, generous are you, O God of many names, to overlook the wanderings of our minds as we try to center them in you. The Hasidic sages teach that every breath shall praise God, that every breath is a prayer. May each breath of our silent prayer be an afternoon benediction, one with the breath of heaven. O giver of all gifts, be praised in a history of wisdom, and vision become fruitful, in work and lives of the long rewarded, giving and gracing our present in impassioned inquiry, coupled with zest for living and care for those seeking to learn. Be gloried in those gone before, their faces now we envisioned, framed in eternity's glow. God of roots and wings, with the chimes of Buddhist temple bells, with oblations in Hindu temples, with holy fire as candles flicker on Shabbat tables, and with the echo of far-off cries as the faithful of Allah are called to prayer. O guardian of galaxies, divine parent of the cosmos and of stars beyond counting, send your blessing on this Founders Day gathering, that we might honor and celebrate our history even as we look to the future. One in stillness with you, remind us that there are moments when we are forced to choose a side, moments when there is no room for neutrality. One in stillness with you, remind us again of the words of your servant Desmond Tutu, who said, "If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor." May we never default to neutrality, for pleasing some generally happens at the expense of others, and there have been times in our own history when we haven't been aware of all those who have borne the outsourced burdens of our own indifference. Great wisdom. Our future is buoyed by the touch of your presence. May wakefulness be our watchword as we dedicate our desire to fashion all of our days and every gift that they hold into the music of one continuous song of gratitude. Unite us all in affection for our beloved Wake Forest and in our hope for the full realization of its great potential for good. Shalom, salam, peace. Amen.
Good afternoon and welcome to Founders Day. Thank you for being here. It is good from time to time to take stock of where we have been so we may fully appreciate where we are going. The past is important. It is there we find people who showed us how to live and sometimes cautioned us how not to live. It is there we learn from the successes and missteps of others. It is there we find the foundations of those so that we can build upon to fulfill the best of their virtues. But recognizing the past also invites us to celebrate the present, calling us to acknowledge not just who we were, but who we are and whom we want to be. Wake Forest is and has always been an institution that seeks to combine intellect and character. It is not enough to have knowledge or just to know what is good. We must cultivate our character and seek to be good. Today we will recognize some of our faculty members who have exhibited the finest qualities of the teacher-scholar. While our faculty as a whole are repeatedly recognized among the most outstanding, there are some who have distinguished themselves even further. Today we celebrate their noteworthy efforts in advising, teaching, research, and service. We will also hear from orators of the class of 2019 who have given thought and reflection to who we are as an institution in this moment and what that means for them and for us. The tradition of senior orations is well over a century old, proving that listening to one another is a virtue worth building upon. Finally, we will honor leaders of character who have made Wake Forest better. The Medallion of Merit is Wake Forest's most distinguished honor and recognizes individuals who have contributed their time, energy, and expertise and careers to moving us forward in the spirit of pro humanitate. These are the people on whose shoulders we stand. Thank you again for being here today to celebrate this community, who we are, who we were, who we are, and who we hope to be. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Tony Marsh, Senior Associate Dean of Faculty in the College and Professor of Health and Exercise Science. Really effective public speakers, orators, have been celebrated throughout human history. Orators remain important figures in our contemporary culture too. Think of those amazing TED speakers whose talks can mesmerise us with their gifts of words and knowledge. And don't forget our own Wake Forest TEDx event, Metamorphic, Saturday afternoon, right here in Wake Chapel. The art of the spoken word has long been a critical component of a classical or liberal arts education. The more educated the person, the stronger the rhetorical training one received. This is no surprise to us at Wake Forest. We all know that the art of the spoken word is as essential today as at any time in the past. In fact, I'd guess that many of the students in this room right now anticipate that sometime in the not too distant future, you'll be giving oral presentations or speeches of your own in the classroom, in the public or private sector workplace, or perhaps even during a political campaign, all places where words and the way they are delivered matter. So I think we can maybe all agree on this. Developing excellent communication skills are at the core of a liberal arts education. Today, all of us here and our three orators are about to become part of a 185-year-old Wake Forest tradition of senior orations. Think about that for a minute. Wake Forest students have been giving orations for more than 9 generations. In 1834, Wake Forest's first year, the school enrolled just 16 students, all young men. They organised a debate society, as you do, that first year, and then the next year they organised another one so they could have competing debate societies. To this day we take debate very seriously at Wake Forest. In fact, so important was public speaking as part of a Wake Forest education that for almost 50 years all seniors were required to give a public speech in front of the entire school in order to graduate unless excused by the faculty. I expect excused absences didn't happen too frequently. Aren't you glad that times and graduation requirements have changed, seniors in the room? We've long since turned this venerable rite of passage into a voluntary one. This year, 35 essays were submitted by students who were nominated by their college professors. A panel of faculty read all the essays and selected 10 that were presented before a public audience of students, faculty, staff, parents and friends at Pew Auditorium. Faculty judges who were in the audience chose the 3 orations that you will hear this afternoon, and let me tell you, it was an amazing evening. They had a hopelessly, incredibly difficult job. For nearly 2 centuries, the Wake Forest community has had the opportunity to listen to and learn from our talented senior orators, and today will be no exception. This year, our orators will speak in alphabetical order, and each of them has chosen a faculty member to do a brief introduction.
Good afternoon. I'm Angela Mazaris, the director of the LGBTQ Center, and I am honored to introduce Bree Carney today. One of the joys of working in higher education is the opportunity to mentor students who are not just brilliant, but who are also deeply determined to make the world a more just place. Bree is precisely such a student. As a scholar, a writer, and an activist, Bree leads with perseverance, integrity, and courage. Bree is from Savannah, Georgia. She is majoring in English with a minor in creative writing and journalism. After graduation, Bree plans to move to New York to pursue comedy writing. Her oration is entitled, "Love and Spreadsheets."
Hi. I'm an English major who's read hundreds of books filled with all kinds of wisdom about life, but today I'm here to talk to you about spreadsheets. I know, I think numbers are boring too, but hear me out. What are spreadsheets? They're lists. Documents filled with numbers or words, split into categories based on like characteristics. They're divisive. They separate things to fall in line where they belong. In life at times, we feel like we belong on a human spreadsheet. We fall in line where we belong. Someone or something tells us where we're supposed to be. It's hard to be yourself when you feel like everyone around you views you through such a narrow scope. From the moment I stepped foot on Wake's campus in the fall of 2015, I knew this was going to be an amazing 4 years. I felt very comfortable here. I felt at home. I think some of that comfort came from fitting into an oftentimes homogenous student body. I looked like every other girl on campus. I wore my hunter boots when it rained. I had my dinners at the pit. I enjoyed the occasional late-night subway trip with my friends. My cell on a spreadsheet would fall under column, female, row, typical Wake Forest student. All of that changed a year ago. After 20 years of keeping secrets from me, my braid finally told me, hey Bree, guess what? You're gay. If you're curious what that realization is like, it's kind of like when you're a kid and you find out that Santa isn't real, and part of you thinks, well, I guess I kind of always knew, and another part of you thinks, this is a really scary new reality I have to live in. Do I still get presents? And you want to run and tell everybody you know, but you're not sure how they're going to take it, or if they're ready to hear. And oddly, somehow your parents knew the whole time, but they wanted you to figure it out for yourself. It's a confusing time, but you can't live forever thinking Santa is real, and you certainly cannot live forever being someone you're not. After a few months of being out, I realized I would never be truly happy if I didn't become fully myself. So I chopped off my hair, because looking as I do now feels the most authentically me. It was liberating and great for a while, but then I came back to Wake, and I realized not many people here look like me. Now I was different. Now my cell on a spreadsheet fell under column, female, row, non-normative outsider. Growing up, adults would always tell you it's good to be different, but that sounds a whole lot better when being different means you're the first kid to lose your tooth, and being the kid with the gap in your teeth makes you first grade royalty. Being different is less fun in college when you come out as gay and you feel like it becomes your only identifying quality. Then different is not so fun. Different is scary. Different is lonely. Thanks to my teammates, family, and friends, I feel unconditional love and support for who I am every single day. But I quickly realized that is not a privilege that everyone shares, and I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to make Wake an even more accepting place. Over the last summer, I realized that the Duke women's soccer team hosted a pride game in their previous fall season. It sounded like an awesome idea, and I wanted to bring something similar to Wake. My teammates and coaches were completely on board, and we entered our fall 2018 season with the high hopes of hosting a pride game of our own. Unfortunately, the idea was shot down by the athletic department. I was upset by the news, and I spent a few days gathering my thoughts, trying to decide what to do next. I needed to prove to the athletic department, and probably even more so, prove to myself that this was an idea people cared about. So I pulled out my laptop and began to draft a statement of support. The statement read, the Wake Forest women's soccer team is planning to host a pride game at a home game during the fall 2018 season. Unfortunately, this idea has been rejected by the athletic department. A pride game is designed to be a game that celebrates those who identify with the LGBTQ community, as well as the allies who support it. It's about acknowledging a marginalized group through celebration and sport. The statement went on to say, sports are a place of inclusion. They are a space where people from various backgrounds, races, ethnicities, sexual and gender identities can come together to become a team, even a family. Because sports inherently foster inclusivity, it is important our collegiate athletic program uses our platform to promote just that. My petition closed with an acknowledgement of support and acceptance of the LGBTQ community by any signee. I finished writing the statement and sent it out to my family and friends over Google Forms and asked that they pass it along if they felt inclined to do so. For those of you who are unfamiliar with how Google Forms work, the responses come in live updated and time-stamped on a spreadsheet. I took a deep breath and waited anxiously to see if I'd get any signatures. I sat in my room in silence and watched the names roll in on the spreadsheet. The first names I saw were those of friends and family, and then suddenly names I didn't recognize, or names I did, but I'd wondered how they'd heard. My phone buzzed with text messages of people sharing their support and asking for the link so that they could pass it on to their friends and their family. The news spread through the student body like the news that the Ronaldo campus was closed for a snow day. I watched the names fall down the list, one by one down the page, as 10 became 20, as 20 became 50, as 50 soon became 100. Suddenly a spreadsheet, something I once thought to be divisive, was exactly the opposite. The names on this spreadsheet were all here for the same reason. I became overwhelmed with the love I was receiving, and I ran into my friend Noni's room crying tears of relief and joy to tell her that in 28 minutes, we had over 200 signatures. Little did I know that in 48 hours, there would be well over 1,000. 1,000 friends, old and new, declaring this place, our place, a place for love, a place for growth, and a place where everyone is welcome. Being different can be very difficult, especially if hiding your differences is impossible, or if doing so would make you absolutely miserable. Diversity is what makes the world an interesting place to live in, and although we all conform to common things, all of us are diverse in our own way. No one should ever feel like they can be defined by just one column and just one row. When I was told we could not have a pride game, I lost faith in the place I call home. I felt betrayed by a place I hold dear, and I felt the answer I was given was not indicative of the university that I know and love. So I took a chance. Vulnerable and very afraid, I turned to my community, our Wake Forest community. With a simple click of a button, I let an entire college campus into the most intimate part of my life. I watched the names fill in down the spreadsheet with tears in my eyes and only one thought in my head. This is the Wake I love. This is the Wake I know. This is Pro Humanitate. This is a community rallying behind one of its own to prove its dedication to being for humanity. All of humanity. In a world that has become increasingly divided, I urge all of you to show your love and support for all of those around you, no matter where they may fall in the human spreadsheet. Be willing to listen. Be willing to change your mind. Be willing to change someone else's mind. Be the reason that someone else has the courage to be different. You never know. That difference might spark the idea that brings us all back together. Thank you.
My name is Ola Furmanek. I am a professor in the Spanish department, and it is a great pleasure to introduce Ana Grace Gercio. Ana Grace is from Mint Hill, North Carolina, and is majoring in Spanish and anthropology and minoring in linguistics. She is thinking about pursuing graduate studies in these areas, but she is also a semi-finalist for Fulbright, and she probably will be an English teacher in Mexico next year. Ana Grace was the best student in my very challenging interpreting class last semester, and this semester and this year she is writing an honors thesis on a new revolutionary theory in learning grammar. The title of her oration is Dangerous Speech.
Not a place, but a purpose. This was the title of my first speech. I wrote 2 speeches. In my first attempt, I discussed how although we are leaving the physical space and will never occupy it in the same way again, we will always belong to Wake Forest and share our Pro Humanitate mission. It was a fine speech, but as I neatly concluded my thoughts, I knew it was a speech I would not give. It was safe and boring. It could not offend anyone. It invited its audience to a comfortable smugness. It was a self-congratulatory cushion, but its message would leave your mind as soon as you left your seat. So I wrote a second speech. It is riskier, more dangerous, and more true. This is the second speech. I call the fall semester of my junior year my activist awakening. I got to know some students who were involved in social justice work on campus, and they invited me to join them. Thanks to their willingness to include me, my entire perception of Wake Forest changed. It was in this time that I took my Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies divisional with Dr. Gupta and learned more about the feminism I have always loved. I carried a sign and chanted through the streets of Washington, D.C. in the March for Black Women, and I learned so much about myself and others at Branches, Wake's social justice retreat. These events were empowering and connected me to a community of Wake Forest students whose boldness and relentlessness continue to inspire me. These student activists also called me to more, leading me to the epitome of that semester: a trip to Nogales, a border city that spills into Arizona and Mexico. We gathered with other migration activists under the imposing shadow of the border wall. I told my parents it was a conference about immigration. I was vague, knowing they would interpret this as something scholarly. It was not entirely untrue, but a more apt descriptor would be protest. Far from a sterile debate on migration issues, we rallied, we marched, we sang, we cried, and we screamed at the border wall between the U.S. and Mexico. An eclectic collection of earthy old hippies and young college dreamers, the SOA Watch was a time of coming together to peacefully demonstrate against U.S. imperialism and border control. It was so different from anything I had ever connected to Wake Forest. If not for the small activist community I met here, I would never have had the opportunity to go. We returned to Wake with a renewed passion for justice. We held Undocu Week to share with our fellow students the lessons we had learned and to create greater visibility for the immigrant community. This year, we were officially chartered as SMIDGE, the Student Movement for Immigration Justice. You might not have heard of us. We are new, and we are just getting started. Regardless of the tangible goals we have ahead of us, I am extremely proud to have helped create a structure so that students who come after us can accomplish so much more. There will always be more to do, especially now, but I'm grateful to have played a small part in this mission in my time here at Wake. Now I know that we here do not all agree on questions of documentation and citizenship. You may be thinking that this is not an appropriate forum for a political message, but that is why this speech is dangerous. I believe that it is impossible for us to remain neutral. My Wake Forest experience has taught me that everything we do, and critically everything we do not do, is political. As lawyer and activist Aditi Junega tweeted following the Charlottesville protests, "If you've wondered what you would have done during slavery, the Holocaust, or civil rights movement, you're doing it now." This is not to say we must choose one of two sides. Everything is a spectrum. Each of us constitutes a unique assemblage of opinions and experiences that cannot easily be classified. I have mentioned students whose progressive justice work inspires me. I also have friends whose views are conservative, and they too embolden me and push me toward new depths of growth and self-awareness. I hope to grow up is not synonymous with becoming entrenched in our views. We have often been encouraged to converse with those who disagree with us. Wake Forest itself has promoted a call to conversation to this end. But we should not stop at conversation. Let us work to build relationships with others who are multifaceted and strange in ways we are not. We cannot afford to merely insulate ourselves with people whose thoughts mirror our own. As I consider the class of 2019, I see power. We believe different things, and we have experienced vastly different opportunities and privileges. We all now share the privilege of a Wake Forest University education. From here, we will all go on to make decisions that are life-altering for ourselves and for others. Wherever we find ourselves as we leave Wake Forest, we will have the potential to inspire action, to change systems, to relieve oppression. but we will also have the potential to change nothing, to remain inert and comfortable, to perpetuate the status quo. For some of us, this is not an option. Pro Humanitate tells us not to hide from discrimination or ignore conflict because it does not appear to affect us directly. It is to all of us, but especially to those who have never felt unsafe, that I offer this challenge. Let us not pretend that we can be unbiased. Let us embody our nuanced bundle of views and beliefs. Let us continuously challenge them, testing them against the realities we face. Let us all be willing to make mistakes and be wrong sometimes so that we might grow. Above all, let us be authentic and complex. And let us write and remain willing to hear dangerous speeches.
I'm Jessica Richard, Associate Professor and Chair of English, and I'm proud to introduce Sophie Hollis. I taught Sophie in several classes from freshman year throughout her time here, and I'm currently advising her honors thesis, in which she examines depictions of evil in Paradise Lost and the novels of Jane Austen. Last summer, Sophie was awarded a Richter Grant to travel to the Western U.S. to explore her family's history and write a memoir. Sophie is from Winston-Salem and is an English major with minors in philosophy and schools education and society. She's contemplating several paths after graduation, including publishing or graduate school. Her oration is titled Forest for the Trees.
Hello. So last fall, I took the capstone class for the English major, and it turned out to be one of my favorite classes in all my time at Wake. What made it different from my other classes was that the underlying philosophy was that in every possible instance, students were encouraged to work together. Nearly every assignment was collaborative, and over the course of the semester, everyone in my class became a close community of friends. At the very end, our professor sent us an email with the subject, Music That Fills Your Soul with Joy, and attached a link with some of his favorite songs. One by one, each of my classmates responded with a list of their own favorite songs, and soon we had a playlist with well over 7 hours of music. Now, I've listened to this playlist many times since, partly because each song reminds me of the person that added it, partly because it brings me joy in a time when I find myself at one of life's intimidating crossroads. But what I like most about this playlist is that it reminds me that the best and the most important things that I've done in my time at Wake have been collaborative. As an admittedly competitive person, I find that it's sometimes too easy to get caught up in my individual accomplishments. But when I think about my incredibly intelligent and compassionate classmates, I'm struck with humility. Anything we create together will be better than something that's limited by my own ideas, just like the music of a choir is stronger than a lone voice. As I wrote this speech, I wondered if there is a way that I could prove this point beyond simply stating it. It occurred to me that even the tradition of senior orations relies on competition, although it hasn't always been this way. I learned that when the first class of Wake Forest students graduated in 1834, all students were required to speak, and since then the number of speakers has been whittled down as the number of students graduating has increased. And now we are tasked with choosing only one speaker to represent the whole of our class. It seemed unlikely to me that I could write something, or that any one person could write something, that could represent the experiences of us all. Although Wake has a relatively small student body, it's quite possible that many of you have never seen me before, even though we've shared a campus for 4 years. Maybe if we could all say a little something, we could come closer to finding the words necessary to express these formative years. So in the spirit of cooperation, I took this challenge a bit literally. Instead of trying to figure out what to say on my own, I have turned to some of you for some help. In order to get as much input as possible, I looked back through the Wake Forest University Class of 2019 Facebook page. My very helpful brother helped me copy the text from all the posts over the last 4 years and put them into this computer program that organized the words from most to least used. Then I took some of these individual words from the list, I wrote them on index cards, and I rearranged them to make something new. This method created a lot of hilarious nonsense, some of which I've kept. And I tried to preserve the intent behind some of the posts, even though the words are shuffled. And this is far from a perfect collaborative effort, but I wanted as many people as possible to have at least some input. So what I have to read to you today is a kind of reorganization of the words of the Wake Forest University Class of 2019. And although it's not a substitute for hearing what each of you might have to say, it is something that I think is synergistically more beautiful. It's something that we share and something that's been created cooperatively. Some of these words appeared many times and others only once, but every word that you're about to hear is from one of you. Using the unsurprising, most used words, I call this poem, Wake Students Share the Forest. Welcome, Wake Forest, Class of 2019, to the official Future Football Center of Innovation, scrambled with lofted dorm beds. Is anybody from Gainesville, Columbia, France, New York, new old, new student, newest, real new? I signed up for the cruel arts and I was wondering if anyone else did too. Don't ask questions like, if I finished at 12:01 and if I can't control this movement of memories that pop up on Win, can I still change my email? Or will someone with secure summer storage be my Valentine? Here, whiskey and worry are indigenous, but anybody can join the stress reform. If you graduate with an English major, you will not be allowed back home. Swipe right to the airport if you need a ride, or see first name, last name at the bridge for research. You maybe wish to peruse abroad, or join the Republican academic Democrats who meet in Luther. If anybody has a question about their project, Jerry has ice cream in ZSR. By mutual request, Spencer, Danny, David, and William for Wake remind you to vote today and sign up for the revolution. By June, you will need advice. Participate by helping others. Rule the country with your creative wonderings. Start serving the community and live like it's Easy Tuesday. Understand what it is to be a demon deacon, because freshman reflections here represent improvement, kindness, friends, new members of the united intellectual world. Now, let's overwhelm history. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The Wake Forest University chapter of Mortarboard was established in 1969. Mortarboard is a national honor society that recognizes college seniors for excellence in the areas of scholarship, leadership, and service. The Tassels chapter of Mortarboard at Wake Forest University selects the top scholars and leaders on campus for membership. Since its establishment in 1918, nearly 250,000 members have been initiated at 230 chartered chapters across the nation. Members of the Mortarboard at Wake Forest are selected to serve during their senior year. Membership signifies honor, offers challenge, and represents the potential for continued commitment. The commitment extends to the ideals of scholarship, leadership, and service to the community at large. The names of Mortarboard members are in your program, and I ask those that are in attendance to stand now, along with their faculty advisor, John McDonald, to be honored. The Beta Circle of Omicron Delta Kappa, the National Leadership Honor Society, was installed at Wake Forest University in 1939. Since its founding, ODK has initiated over 300,000 members nationwide. The Society recognizes achievement in scholarship, athletics, campus and community service, social and religious activities, campus government, journalism, speech and the mass media, the creative and performing arts. The purpose of the Society is threefold. First, to recognize those who have achieved high standards in collegiate activities and to inspire others to strive for such attainment. Second, to bring together representative students from all phases of college life and thus to create an organization which will help to shape the campus on questions of local and intercollegiate interest. And third, to bring together members of the faculty and student body on the basis of mutual interest and understanding. Exemplary character is a primary consideration for membership. And let me call your attention to the names of these terrific students in your program. ODK members, along with your staff advisor, Brad Chugal, please stand, and will you all join me in recognizing this wonderful group? It is now my pleasure to recognize the student members of the Judicial Council, Honor and Ethics Council, and the Board of Investigators and Advisors. The Judicial Council collaborates with the Office of the Dean of Students to ensure fairness and due process for all members of the undergraduate campus community. In addition to these responsibilities, the Judicial Council hears appeals resulting from administrative and Honor and Ethics Council hearings. The student members of the Judicial Council are appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Dean of the College. The Honor and Ethics Council is the central deliberative body in the undergraduate student judicial system. Its hearing panels are primarily responsible for adjudicating honor code violations involving academic misconduct. The honor code is central to university life. Members of the university community agree not to cheat, plagiarize, deceive, or steal in all phases of academic and social life. Administrative judicial hearings address violations of the university's standards of community responsibility, as well as social honor violations. The Board of Investigators and Advisors provides students encountering the judicial process with qualified and knowledgeable student representatives and provides the Honor and Ethics Council with full knowledge of the facts and context of a case. The overarching principle linking advisors and investigators with the judicial system is the search for truth. The Board of Investigators and Advisors are selected by the Judiciary Appointments Committee. At this time, I wish to ask the student members of the Judicial Council, Honor and Ethics Council, and Board of Investigators and Advisors to please stand and be recognized. I wish to offer my sincere gratitude to our student members. They play a vital role within the conduct system, and I really am grateful for their service. Thank you.
Thanks to you students involved in the groups and orators. Beautifully done. We will now present the awards for advising, teaching, research, and service. Information about each award can be found on, perhaps unsurprisingly, the awards pages of the Convocation program. For those 8 awards you'll see listed there, 11 of our faculty have been selected and are being recognized today, with the exception of one who couldn't be here, as I'll note. We will recognize each award winner by asking him or her to come forward when announced. The Excellence in Advising Award, recognizing outstanding advising in the Wake Forest College, especially at the lower division level. While the award is for 2018, the winners are being publicly announced and honored for the first time today. There are 2 winners. The first Excellence in Advising Award is presented to, small drum roll, Elizabeth Anthony from the Department of French Studies. Elizabeth, please come forward to be recognized. We have a choreography, which you all will catch on to. Elizabeth was selected in recognition of her strong, enduring commitment to lower division advising. She's inspired a new group of first-year advisees every fall except one, since she started advising back in 2005. Her advisees describe her, these are quotes taken from some of them, as caring, patient, knowledgeable, and always willing to address their concerns. One advisee shared, see if you remember who, Elizabeth, quote, "She was a strong pillar of support for me. In our meetings, she would always ask how I was doing as a person before asking how I was doing as a student, showing that she really cares about us students and not just our academics or her job as an advisor." The 2018 Excellence in Advising Award to Elizabeth Anthony. Now you cross. Our second Excellence in Advising Award is presented to a professor who couldn't be here today, was attending a conference long established nonetheless. We will celebrate Professor Sam Gladding from the Department of Counseling. We will have a private ceremony for Sam when he's back, so don't tell him, and we will give him his citation then. Any of you who wish to join, we'll let you know the time. The Undergraduate Research and Creative Activities Faculty Award for Excellence in Mentorship and Research and Creative Work is presented annually to two faculty members. The Faculty Award for Excellence in Mentored Scholarship in the Sciences is presented to Professor Aaron Fulp from the Department of Computer Science. Aaron, please come forward to be recognized. The chair who nominated Professor Fulp wrote, quote, "I cannot recall a faculty member who more exemplifies the intent of this award," end quote. In 19 years in the department, Professor Fulp has mentored more than a dozen students in honor or summer fellowship projects. His students have contributed to publications, patents, and grant funding in the critical field of cybersecurity. He helped develop an undergraduate internship program at Pacific Northwest National Lab called, I love this, the Cyber Defenders Internship. Also superheroes. Many Wake Forest students have participated in this national program and continued their work on campus. A former student who went on to earn a PhD in computer science said of Dr. Fulp, quote, "He was beyond generous with both his time and expertise. Throughout our collaboration, he selflessly and publicly acknowledged my contributions whenever possible. His mentorship was the defining experience of my time at Wake Forest. For your consistent contribution to guiding undergraduates in the discipline of cybersecurity, the Faculty Award for Excellence in Mentored Scholarship in the Sciences to Aaron Fulp." Continuing with this Undergraduate Research and Creative Activities Faculty Award, this one for Excellence in Mentored Scholarship in the Arts and Humanities. It's presented this year to Associate Professor Lisa Blee from the Department of History. Lisa, please come forward to be recognized. As described by her department chair, Dr. Blee's mentorship is, quote, "an example of what we all hope for when we think about undergraduate research in a liberal arts institution," end quote. Dr. Blee is the center of her department's internship program and offers formal and informal mentorship that frequently results in student research projects. One of her former students wrote, quote, "It is no understatement to say that Dr. Blee molded my undergraduate study and growth. She engineered valuable creative opportunities that supported my individual scholarship. Her dedication and quiet enthusiasm for people, social causes, and history are infectious." The Faculty Award for Excellence in Mentored Scholarship in the Arts and Humanities to Lisa Blee. The award for Excellence in Research is presented annually to members of the faculty who are outstanding scholars at an early stage of their careers. We also have two winners. The first from the Department of Art is Morna O'Neill. Morna, please come forward to be recognized. In 2018, Dr. O'Neill published her second book, Hugh Lane, The Art Market and the Art Museum. Her first book, on the Edwardian artist and illustrator Walter Crane, raised important questions about that artist's social radicalism. This second book, focusing on an art historian turned dealer, goes well beyond the existing boundaries of period research to a deep study of how value is created in art. Dr. O'Neill's research on Hugh Lane was supported by the National Humanities Center and the Getty Research Institute. In her field of art history, Dr. O'Neill is pioneering a rethinking of public motivations for collecting, exhibiting, and organizing museums, and the role that art dealers came and continue to play in this very dynamic sphere. The award for excellence in research to Morna O'Neill. Our second Excellence in Research winner is from the Department of Engineering, Dr. Michael Gross. Michael, please come forward to be recognized. How many of you knew it was National Engineers Week? Michael did, I thought not. Here during this National Engineers Week, we are proud to celebrate one of our very own Wake Forest engineers, a founding faculty member and associate professor of our Wake Forest Department of Engineering. Dr. Gross embodies excellence as a scholar, researcher, and engineer. The scholarly work of Dr. Gross has achieved national attention in two research areas: materials and composites for energy technologies, and student motivation, second, in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. He has published 28 journal articles on materials and composites for numerous energy applications. Dr. Gross has received more than $700,000 in external funding, including the NSF Career Award, perhaps our nation's most prestigious award in support of early career faculty. The award for excellence in research to Dr. Michael Gross. The Donald O. Schoonmaker Faculty Award for Community Service recognizes extraordinary community service by a faculty member. This year's winner from the Department of English is Melissa Jenkins. Melissa, please come forward to be recognized. We know Dr. Jenkins is a superbly gifted teacher scholar who is a Wake Forest undergraduate alumna, has thoroughly embraced the pro humanitate ideal since her student days. Dr. Jenkins consistently demonstrates the fact that a vital function of our university is also to share our knowledge, skills, and practices with those beyond the gates of our community. Along with her work in English, Dr. Jenkins serves as a core faculty member in Women's, Gender, and Sexuality Studies, as chair and member of several committees, a volunteer in the Office of Academic Advising, and in undergraduate admissions. She has served as a senior faculty fellow for 4 years and been a dedicated lower division advisor for 9 years. Dr. Jenkins created a Writing 111 seminar to enable her students to study and write about the community. Working with the Forsyth County Humane Society, Melissa titled her seminar, Animals Make Us Human, a service learning course. This course not only allows students to develop their research and argumentative skills, but it gives Dr. Jenkins students firsthand experience in the community. The Donald Schoonmaker Faculty Award for Community Service to Melissa Shields Jenkins. The John Reinhardt Award for Distinguished Teaching recognizes an experienced member of the faculty who exemplifies the ideals of a liberal arts education. This year's winner is Peter Savellis, chair and professor in the Department of Politics and International Studies. Peter, would you come forward to be recognized? In addition to chairing the department, Professor Savellis serves as director of the Wake Forest Santiago Studies Center in Chile and also director of the Latin American and Latino Studies program. He is an expert in electoral, legislative, and presidential politics in Latin America with a particular focus on Chile and Argentina. One of his former students from his early days of teaching here said, quote, "He embodies the values to which Wake Forest aspires. He is professional, kind, and authentic. He challenges his students' thinking in a respectful way, weaving in humor, practicality, and storytelling. I would not be the person I am today without him. He changed the trajectory of my life." For exemplifying the ideals of a liberal arts education, the John Reinhardt Award for Distinguished Teaching to Peter Sibelius. The Joseph Branch Excellence in Teaching Award is presented to a member of the School of Law who exemplifies teaching and service to the legal profession. This year's winner is Professor John Knox. John, would you please come forward to be recognized? I'll remind those of you who attended these awards before that the Dean of the Law School has quite a hand in writing these citations. Among colleagues and students alike, Professor John Knox is known for his kindness, good judgment, wicked smarts, and uproarious wit. Professor Knox's student evaluations are so truly outstanding that they can make a tenured professor weep and an untenured one throw in the towel. One student describes him in a way that captures the overall tenor. This is an actual quote. Quote, "He is the bee's knees, the bomb.com, the hashtag cat's pajamas." Even in critique, students pay him the highest compliments. Quote, "Difficult class, assigns a lot of reading, and, quote, expects a lot of his students. And they love him for it." Knox's teaching excels not only in quality, but in quantity, as he readily exceeds his required teaching hours in order to meet student demand for his courses. Professor Knox is expert in not one, not two, but 3 fields of law: property law, international law and human rights, and environmental law. In recent years, he has merged these areas of expertise in service to the world as the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the issue of human rights obligations relating to the enjoyment of a safe, clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. For your unflagging dedication to the education of our students and to the cause of environmental justice, the law school proudly bestows its Joseph Branch Excellence in Teaching Award on John Knox. The Kalanick Family Omicron Delta Kappa Award recognizes an outstanding faculty member who bridges the gap between classroom and student life. This year's winner is Stephen Boyd of the Department for the Study of Religion. Steve, please come forward to be recognized. Professor Boyd's Department Chair writes, "Professor Boyd, a member of our faculty since 1985, is the John Allen Easley Professor of Religion. Professor Boyd is expert in the discipline of theological thought and gender roles and is known across campus and Winston-Salem alike for his contributions to social justice. In addition, his work helping build the Religion and Public Engagement program have allowed our students by the dozens to become more active members of the community. Professor Boyd founded Communities Helping All Neighbors Gain Empowerment, or CHANGE, in Winston-Salem, and he supports Oak Flat, the San Carlos Apache Reservation in Arizona. He has taken repeated classes to visit the reservation and experience the rituals and practices of the Apaches. One UDK member, a student, noted that, quote, "Dr. Boyd is not only one of the most involved professors at Wake Forest, but he deeply cares for the future and personal lives of his students." Another calls Dr. Boyd, quote, "an academic, a servant leader, and my mentor." The Wake Forest Circle of Omicron Delta Kappa proudly awards the Kalanick Family Award to Stephen Boyd. Our final award is the Reed Doyle Prize for Excellence in Teaching, which honors a faculty member still in the early part of her or his career. This year's winner is Robert Earhart of the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. Rob, please come forward to be recognized. Affectionately known to his students as Dr. Rob, Robert Earhart has rebuilt the statistics program in the Department of Mathematics from the ground up, helping inspire a dramatic increase in enrollment. He does this by making his classes enjoyable, even for those students who confess they don't like math. As one of his former students, who I suspect will be hunted down by the chair, Sarah Rayner, stated, quote, "With his charismatic nature, humor, and personality, Dr. Rob made one of the most boring subjects fun. I took this class my first year and failed, so I was extremely skeptical about retaking it. Dr. Rob worked for hours with me outside of class, gave me the confidence I needed, and was always so willing to assist." Another of his students reported, quote, "His work with students goes far, far beyond the classroom. Not only is he our main advisor at the undergraduate and graduate levels, leading to several co-authored papers, but he single-handedly developed curricular methods for supporting visually impaired students in the mathematical sciences. For your personal approach to teaching, resulting in a student following and statistics programs that are appropriately vibrant and interesting, the Reed Doyle Prize for Excellence in Teaching to Robert Earhart." I now recognize our 13th president, Nathan O. Hatch, for the presentation of Wake Forest University's highest award, the Medallion of Merit.
The Medallion of Merit is the university's highest award for service. The men and women who receive this honor make exceptional and significant contributions to the life of Wake Forest and have helped shape the university's direction. In your program is a list of Medallion of Merit recipients. I ask all of those recipients in the audience to stand and be recognized for your service to Wake Forest. Join me now as we watch a video about each of this year's recipients.
I was hired in 1981 as a staff writer in the Sesquicentennial campaign, and that campaign, believe it or not, was raising $17.5 million for Wake Forest.
Part of her talent was in communication, and she always found the right words to say.
My first supervisor, the late Julius Corpening, used to say that fundraising is a process, not an event. And that's a surprise to a lot of people. And learning that fundraising happens because of building great relationships.
Sandra worked tirelessly, traveled tirelessly across the country, sharing about Wake Forest. We began to emerge from North Carolina, from the Southeast, and begin to articulate a message across the country that this is a special place.
She deserves enormous credit for helping put Wake Forest really on, not only the map, but on the map at the highest level.
You could tell that she was serious about her work. She's serious about Wake Forest, but she does it with a lightheartedness and fun attitude that it brings people in.
Sandra's gift is relationships, and her gift is community development.
On behalf of the Commission on Presidential Debates, I am pleased to welcome you to this first presidential debate of the 1988 campaign.
And what she was able to do is bring those talents to this special project called a presidential debate at Wake Forest, which she made happen twice.
Mike Smith and Scott and I went to administration with the idea of hosting a presidential debate at Wake. Mike's brilliant idea.
Sandra was really a player coach for Scott, Beth, and myself.
I did say to them after I heard their case, if you will do the research and some of the legwork, I'll help you.
We had lots of energy and lots of ideas and lots of excitement, but she's the one who brought this is the direction we need to go.
Sandra would never stand on the sidelines and watch others work. She would roll up her sleeves and be the first in and the last one out.
Sandra was always a steady Eddie, cool as can be, leading us through, three of us, I think, were a little more emotional on the roller coaster. And the player coach would always be right there with us, helping make sure we understood we can get through this together.
It was a marvelous experience. We didn't do it just for the PR value. We did it because we wanted our students to have this experience of democracy's greatest exercise. And we estimate that 600 to 700 students had some direct job related to the debate.
A new standard got set under Sandra of how to go about doing a presidential debate.
She deserves every bit of accolades for bringing us onto the national stage. But for me, the value that she brought to me and to many other people at Wake Forest, especially women, is that she mentored us. And she has this wonderful way of wanting women to succeed and wanting women to be at the very best that they can be.
When she was promoted to the Reynolds cabinet, no woman had been on the Reynolds cabinet. We looked at that and we knew that that had to be good for every woman on campus.
I did not set out to be the first female vice president, but when I was named vice president, there was this groundswell of just elation from women all over the campus.
And I think that was significant, because after all, Wake Forest had started out as a men's college, and she was indicative of how much things have changed.
She, without hyperbole, has given her professional life to this university.
I don't think there's anyone who has embraced the institution and the institutional values the way Sandra has.
It is more like family here than any other institution I've ever been affiliated with.
I've always thought that Dr. Hatch's exhortation that we remain radically traditional, yet radically innovative, she's such the epitome of that, because that's what she is.
There are hundreds of us who, as students or young staffers, it was Sandra's touch that made us feel at home, and when we get together and look back at our Wake Forest experience, it's remarkable how often Sandra's name comes up as a powerful source of inspiration and self-discovery.
It's a very different school than the school I came to in 1973. But the one constant is this community spirit or feeling that one gets and what keeps one at Wake Forest.
Charlie's time at Wake Forest Law School went over 40 years.
He has taught people's brothers and parents and aunts and uncles.
They remember him as one of their, if not their favorite teacher.
He's really an institution in and of himself. He truly is.
I realized the best I could ever be at Wake Forest was the second best teacher at the law school. The guy was just the tops.
He brings his natural gifts as a teacher to a place that values someone who is always thinking about the other person.
There are three things really important to Charlie, I think. Number one, students. Number two, students. Number three, students.
You saw how much he was invested in every class.
He has far closer attention to what students say than anything else.
In his own way, he would coax them along and get out of them what they were supposed to learn.
Teaching a good class always left you with a 2 + 2 is more than 4 moment.
He's just saying, in this moment, we achieved more than we could have ever expected to. An individual can't achieve that 1 + 1 = more than 2 on his or her own.
That was really, for me, the takeaway was his commitment to having us understand why the law was the way it was.
he is totally invested in your development as a professional and as a human being.
I think that makes me the most proud of having been a teacher at Wake, is just getting to know students individually.
No one is better than Charlie at remembering students and at staying in touch with students.
Having Professor Rose as your professor was not just a law school experience, it's a lifelong experience. He becomes your friend and your mentor for life, and he has with me in a very significant way.
He wanted the students to feel a part of Wake Forest, of a larger legal community, to be able to be free to ask questions, to figure out what they wanted to do and who they wanted to become.
In a lot of ways, I think Charlie was the moral center of the law school.
He wants us to use what we have to better the lives of others, and he does it each and every day in his classroom.
One of my former students took it upon himself to organize a scholarship, the Charles Rose Scholarship, which has supported a number of law students financially for probably 10 years now.
When the students decided to fund the scholarship, they went to him and asked him, what would you like for this scholarship to do? And what he said is, I would like for it to be a scholarship for students who were the first in their family to go to college. And Professor Rose had a real emphasis in his teachings, is that as a lawyer, you should serve the underserved.
Wake Forest went from being largely a North Carolina law school to what we have now, which is a law school where our students can go anywhere, and they do.
He has a big ripple effect in being at Wake Forest for so long.
That's 8,000 students that have graduated with this sense of responsibility for other people.
It is about living every day in acknowledgement of the fact that it is not about me. It is about what I have to give.
And if we can instill in each Wake Forest lawyer the concept that you are out there working and striving and living for humanity, then I think that we have done Charlie Rose justice.
But it does seem to me that the real joy in his life is connection.
And I just feel very lucky to have been here, and it's been a rewarding experience to be able to teach these people and to work with the colleagues that I've had here.
Sandra, would you join me here at the podium? Today we honor an individual whose graceful leadership, extraordinary character, and natural talent as a positive voice for Wake Forest define her pivotal role in the university. For 35 years, from her start as a staff writer to her appointment as Wake Forest's first female vice president, this gifted communicator always found the right words to elevate and advance the university. Sandra began building that language for the Wake Forest story in 1981 as a staff writer. Her work introduced her to faculty, alumni, and students, and she showed an aptitude for communicating the academically rigorous yet intimate Wake Forest. In 1988, she was appointed Vice President of Public Affairs. In that role, she developed the Public Affairs Office, secured a second presidential debate in 2000, and oversaw the staff of the publications program and an award-winning magazine. When development and public relations effort were combined in the Office of University Advancement in 1996, Sandra Boyett was named Vice President of Advancement. She used her talent for communications and acumen for fundraising to manage a successful Honoring the Promise campaign. In 2005, she welcomed me to the Wake Forest family with an inaugural celebration of unprecedented scale. She later served as my senior advisor. In gratitude for her 35 years of modeling character-driven leadership and mentorship, advancing Wake Forest with her gift of language and elevating the role of women at Wake Forest as a pioneer, Wake Forest University confers its highest honor, the Medallion of Merit, on Sandra Combs Boyette on this 21st day of February 2018. Charlie, will you please join me here at the podium? Today we honor a beloved law school professor who instilled the pro humanitate ideal in generations of students, inspiring them to dedicate their intellect, talents, and compassion to the communities they serve. For more than 40 years, he enriched lives as a quintessential teacher-scholar whose connection with many students has endured decades beyond graduation. After law school, Professor Rose joined the U.S. Army Judge Advocate General's Corps, serving the Army as prosecutor and defense counsel in trial work, but he discovered a love of teaching when he became an instructor in the infantry and JAG schools. He joined the Wake Forest Law School faculty in 1973. From his start at Wake Forest until his celebrated last class with Professor Charlie Rose, he remained a favorite among students, as we have heard. Professor Rose encouraged students to pursue a deeper understanding of the law and often posed challenging legal hypotheticals to discuss theory and practice. His students learned to think like lawyers, developing the skills to grapple with any legal issue they might encounter as professionals. Professor Rose connected with students outside the classroom, frequently inviting students to dinner at his home and to meet with attorneys and judges he considered role models. An enduring part of his legacy is the Conversations With program, an interview series he started in 1999. He moderated conversations and post-event dinners with luminaries like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and civil rights attorney Oliver Hill. In gratitude for 44 years serving as a gifted and inspiring teacher-scholar, facilitating professional growth through role models in the legal community, and instilling in students a calling to serve, Wake Forest confers its highest honor, the Medallion of Merit, upon Professor Charles P. Rose on this 21st day of February 2019.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danny Reeves, and I am this year's Student Government President. I would first and foremost like to thank everyone for a wonderful event, and to all of the winners tonight, congratulations, and thank you for your service to this wonderful university. I have the pleasure to close tonight by presenting the senior video. The senior video is a yearly tradition created by students for students to show you all just how much we love this university. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Roberts. As a tour guide, I'm often asked, why Wake Forest? The answer is simple. It's the people. The individuals here at Wake are inspirational, passionate, driven, and eager to go change the world. Personally, I have developed and grown more than I ever thought possible during my 4 years at Wake Forest because of these relationships and experiences. It is these people, this community, and the Wake Forest family that will guide me for the rest of my life. And while I may be leaving Wake Forest, the Wake Forest experience will never leave me.
Hi, my name is Danny Reeves. Wake Forest University is my dream school. From the moment I stepped foot onto campus, I knew it was where I belonged. From the beautiful buildings to the rigorous classroom, every inch of this campus pushes you to grow. As student body president, it's been an incredible journey. It is through my professors and my peers that Wake Forest University has become my home. I am so honored and grateful to call myself a Demon Deacon.
La 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 la. Hi, my name is Sierra Leslie. Existing as a Black woman on Wake Forest campus has taught me the value of varying perspectives and the importance of community. Similarly, as a vocalist and performer, I've had the opportunity to explore different perspectives other than my own and to tell stories that have never been told before. And finally, as the historian for the Anthony Aston Players, I've had the wonderful opportunity of having to forge communities that are welcoming and inspiring for current students of Wake Forest as well as future students. This opportunity to work with such brilliant and inspiring minds has truly made this experience worthwhile.
What's up? I'm Franco. From freshman year to today, music still stands out to me as one of my favorite teachers. Through my music experiences at Wake, I've met and learned a lot from others about how to lead, but more importantly, how to listen and collaborate. From leading music at Catholic masses, to singing with a cappella, to performing at events like Wake and Shake, I've always loved being able to perform and take people away from their troubles a while through song. I hope one day to be able to use that passion and combine it with my love for biology as a physician.
Hi, I'm Dahlia. When I think of Wake Forest, I think of growth, personally and professionally. A particular experience that I hold with great gratitude was leading our Muslim Students Association. In this role, cultivating community within our organization and outside of it, through igniting lively dialogues, sharing laughs and traditions, lifelong memories were formed. Intentional conversation about difference and appreciation fosters the unity and advocacy we see here growing at Wake Forest.
Hi, I'm Bree Kearney. Being at Wake has helped me grow incredibly over the last 4 years. Playing in the ACC alongside some of the best players in the country has been an amazing experience. My teammates and coaches have shown me unwavering support and love over the last 4 years, and that's exactly why I was able to pursue my passions of comedy and join the Little Teague Banshees comedy troupe. It's amazing to be at a place like Wake that allows its students to be multifaceted and grow and find their dreams.
Hi, I'm William Morgan. When I think of what Wake Forest is, I think community, relationships. There are many communities and relationships on this campus, but they all overlap somewhere. For me, they overlap at Campus Grounds, my favorite coffee shop in the world. Campus Grounds is a place on campus where students, faculty, staff, and friends come together every day as one unified community, bound by a love of learning and humanity. I love this place because it is a society built and sustained on the simplest of human interactions and on a commitment to each other for as long as relationships and communities exist.
The cause of freedom is not the cause of a race or a sect, a party or a class. It is the cause of humankind, the very birthright of humanity. Anna Julia Cooper. My name is Zachary Bynum, and I'm a Pro Humanitate scholar. When I came to Wake, I was in search of a place full of open-minded individuals who wanted to make a difference. I found this community in the Pro Humanitate Institute, where students, faculty, and staff are all dedicated to social justice and social change. It is here at PHI that I've grown as a student, and I've grown as a leader, as a friend, and as a human being, making me see that it is our differences that make us strong. I'm leaving Wake Forest with a passion that is embodied in the spirit of Pro Humanitate. And that passion always reminds me to think critically about the world around me, show love to the people who I love, and dream big.
Hi, I'm Savannah. As an Intercultural Center ambassador, I get to promote the mission and the programs of the Intercultural Center. The center is a place for students of all cultures and backgrounds to come together and learn to communicate across difference. The Intercultural Center staff has been an amazing support system for me throughout my college career. They helped me find a sense of belonging here at Wake, and it's given me the courage to pursue many opportunities here and beyond.
Hi, my name is Morgan Briggs, and I'm one of the student coordinators for Campus Kitchen. Wake Forest is unique from many other institutions because of its commitment to a culture of service, which is found in the embodiment of our motto, Pro Humanitate. Through our dedication to others, we can find our true and authentic selves. Campus Kitchen is a student-run organization that works daily to alleviate food disparity in the Winston-Salem community, which is the 16th ranked community in the nation in terms of children who report food insecurity. Every single day, students deliver produce and meals to our community and strengthen those relationships. This is Pro Humanitate. This is Wake Forest.
Danny and senior video creators, terrific job. I love the throwback style. Following the recessional, my office is proud to host a reception for the campus community right across the quad in the green room of Ronaldo Hall. I hope you will join me, our Medallion of Merit winners, our faculty award winners, our fabulous senior orders, and everyone else there. Now let us all stand for the alma mater and continue to stand for the recessional, which will be directed by the faculty marshals.